Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hosts Melanie Johnson and Jenn Foster are the owners of Elite Online Publishing. They're both Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling authors. We're really glad you're here because this podcast was designed for you. Meet industry experts that share their secrets and strategies. Get successful results for your business in money, relationships, health, and your life. Each episode is going to inspire you to take action towards reaching your greatness.
Hey, welcome to our show. We have a fantastic show today. This is Melanie Johnson along with Jenn Foster. Hey, Jenn, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How is everyone doing today?
Oh man, it's a fantastic day. We are going to be talking about your brand today. So if you are wondering, how do you build your brand so that you can get more clients and more work? I mean, sometimes I think people fluff their brand under the carpet. They don't think it's really important. They worry about advertising, but they don't look at it from a whole point of the whole company and the brand and what you're telling people and how to make it a winning brand. I was just looking at some stuff from Steve Jobs that he stole from Nike, but they came down with, two words that said their brand was think different. It wasn't about the product and the services. So today we are really blessed to have Kate DiLeo here with us today. Oh my gosh, she is a brand expert. So we are going to dive deep into a brand, but I want you to think about this. If you're thinking, oh, I don't have a brand, I'm not a company. Well, guess what? You are your own personal brand. Whether you're a mom, whether you're a friend, your whole persona is your brand of who you're putting out and the conversation you want to say. So stick with us and you are going to learn something that's going to change your life today. So Kate, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Kate, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the branding space.
Absolutely. So, I'm an older millennial. I'm 36. I'm a mom of 4, and I am an accidental brand strategist. So maybe like a lot of people listening in today, I had a bit of a zigzag career, to be really candid. And Jenn and Melanie, what ended up happening was I fell into branding right at the time that the market crashed. So back in 2008, I was planning to pursue my PhD in cultural and linguistic anthropology. And when the market crashed, I had a professor come up to me and say, Kate, listen, we really don't know where this field is going to be. And so I recommend that you focus on going and getting a job, pay off your debt, just come back. And of course, my Italian father loved this, right? He's like, please leave my house and pay off your debt. God bless him. So of course, I go get a job. And this is what's so funny, ladies, is I took a job in sales. But here's the thing. I took a job cold calling IT professionals to sell them $2,500 training classes. That's not exactly smart considering the fact that IT people clearly love to be called and clearly love to be sold to. But it was in this job that I recognized I had a sink or swim moment, that all the complex sales scripts and all of the amazing trip marketing campaigns that they were helping me put my leads into, none of it was working. And I had to figure out a way to break through the noise and get these people to want to have a conversation with me. So candidly, I just decided to experiment. And what I did is I called them up and I said, hi, my name's Kate. I'm with this company. Here's what we do. Here's how I can solve your problem. And here's how I'm different. Boom, boom, boom. I delivered a simple brand pitch and it worked. I ended up successfully managing over a $1.2 million annual quota, went on to be the head in my area of sales, got recruited out to go work in the marketing agency world to go build those brand pitches. And for many, many years, I was just side hustling. I was building brands on the side. About 3 years ago, I finally took the big jump and I became a full-time entrepreneur in 2019. And so now at this point, I've actually built over 300 brands globally, and I've worked in over 20 sectors.
Wow. You made it sound so simple. Like I just did these 3 things. So how do you clarify the message that goes in those 3 things? I mean, it sounds simple. I just gave them the solutions. I told them who I was, told them what we did and how it could help them. But is there a way to really dress that the right way?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Let me try and address it in a couple parts. So when I talk about giving this very simple yet provocative brand pitch, it was fascinating. What I recognized was that people based on buyer psychology do need to hear 3 very important things in a specific order to want to get to the next layer of detail, AKA to get to a point where they care about your products or services. And based on buyer psychology, as I studied this, I realized they need to have a tagline that says, here's what I do. a value proposition statement that says, here's how I solve your very specific problem. And then a set of differentiator statements, kind of like the 1, 2, 3, often called like the 3 uniques, for example, of how am I different and better than the rest? And believe it or not, it's in this particular order that brings a prospect to the point of conversion where they want to have a conversation with you. When we think about how does that translate into our personal brand or in our corporate brand, truly, what the way that shows up is not paragraph upon paragraph of content, but on having a very tight, crisp tagline, having a very succinct value proposition statement, and then a series of 1, 2, 3 bullets, boom, boom, boom. Here's how we're different and better than the rest. Believe it or not, that's it.
I like that.
We overcomplicate it. Yeah,
I really like that. And I like how you said it can be for your personal brand too. So I was just thinking, hey, I can close a boyfriend with that.
Let me tell you, dating in your 30s is hard. I just am getting remarried in 2 weeks. And I always made this joke, you guys. I said, dating in your 30s, especially online dating, wear a helmet, right?
Yeah.
Like it is bumpy. But hey, it's funny though. I met my fiance because I applied that same approach on my Bumble and it worked. So here we are now. How many years later?
Totally works. So
right, that's going to be the tagline for the video.
Yeah, not only good for your business, it's really good for your personal brand too.
There you go. Yeah, but it does. It works across the board because isn't it true on a human connection standpoint? That's typically what people ask you when they walk in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jen, it's so nice to meet you. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do I respond to that?
And that's kind of
gets, thing. Yeah.
It kind of gets me that thing like you're leaning towards, you talk about the common ground with your audience. So they'll get you to buy. And is that what you're talking about when you mean common ground?
It is. There's the sense of when you meet somebody, whether it's in the Zoom room, whether they hit the homepage of your website, common ground is really established when they get to a point of understanding and when they feel like you get them. And so the secret is the first thing that they're going to ask you is, what do you do? Like, give it to me up front. And when you have a really provocative tagline that says, this is what we do, and really gets at it, the promise of what you can do and deliver, that's interesting. And it should provoke some sort of question internally or aloud where they go, okay, interesting. What do they mean by that? Hold on. Like, I want to know more. And this is the part that builds the common ground. It's the second layer of your brand, which is a value proposition statement. Mm-hmm. Have you ever gone to somebody's website and you read their message and you go, oh my God, they read my mail. Like they get me. These are my people, right? Actually, as women, I find that we do this a lot, especially when we're buying beauty products. Like we're really attuned to who gets us and who doesn't. Mm-hmm. Well, even in B2B services, when you read a value proposition statement, that's where the common ground is built, because there should be a statement that says, we get it. We know what you're going through. Here's your pain. Now here's how we solve that problem. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that gets your prospect to go, all right, I'm willing to read more. Okay, now you've caught my attention. Let's unpack this.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really interesting too. It's making me think, I'm just like pondering here, how can we change this we need some brand guidance here from Kate. We can change this on our website. We got to, what's unique about us? We're single moms. Like, oh yeah, we got to add more stuff like that in there.
Yeah. And I think about, like you were saying, on a personal level, coming up with that tagline as an individual, that's even more like that kind of is tough. It's challenging for people to say, what's my personal tagline of who I am? Like if you are dating, like she was saying, or to give it to a spouse or to your kids or something so they understand you, I think is a whole nother level. But we are focusing on business here, but I love how it can transcend into that.
We could talk for hours about that. I can talk to you about the whole psychology of how you create that on a personal level. It's great. Yeah.
And then what about, so we come up with this tagline, we come up with our brand, but then if no one sees it, right, what good is it? I mean, it can be on our website, but if no one's coming to our website, so what are things that you suggest to get people to implement this and to let the world know who they are and to share it? I mean, it's great on sales calls. Obviously that works, but what's the bigger picture of that?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, so that's always one of the biggest questions. How in the world do I implement this sucker? Where does it go? How do I show up in the world? Okay, so part of the process in writing your brand is understanding who are you even trying to speak to and why, right? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't this be the natural tendency that we go, great, I know who I am, what I'm trying to do, but you have to almost pivot for a second before you write your brand and ask yourself, well, who am I really trying to serve? And what does the ideal target market look like? If I say that I want to serve B2B manufacturers, I always give the example, okay, Bob, imagine you walk into a room of 100 C-suite executives of 100 mid-sized manufacturers. How do you know the 10, 20, or 30 whose business cards you need to get? Because they have the right demographics and psychographics and pain level that they're perfect to work with you. Do you have ideal really mapped? But here's why I say that. Because Jen and Melanie, once you understand ideal, it's not so much of saying, yes, I've got to have it on my website. Yes, I need it on my social profiles. Yes, I can put it in ads. I think the bigger question that we need to be thinking about as leaders and marketers is the question of, once I've defined ideal, what rooms are these people already in, digitally or otherwise? We constantly are told that we have to go find people. And I think that can be to our detriment. I first would suggest that we look at ourselves and look at the work that we do and ask, well, hold on. If I'm going for a C-suite leader, where do they already go to solve problems? Are they in CEO roundtables and mastermind groups? Are they in Vistage? Are they doing EOS? Are they in EO group? Are they in local summits? Are they in chambers of commerce? Where do these people show up? Where do they network? Where do they spend their money? Where do they network with each other to solve a business problem? That's where I want to be, because it's far easier for us as leaders and marketers to go where the audience already is and then show up in that room and deliver our pitch.
Yeah, because then you're not really going out to find them. So that finding isn't really a thing. It's more of, here's my ideal, here's where they hang out. I'm going to place myself there. And then the magnet just kind of, they come to you. Because you're there to solve their problem that they really need to be solved.
Well, that's right. I think that we know that business is a relationship. It's not a transaction, right? But I think sometimes we get really concerned that we're supposed to build all the most complex sales funnels in the world. And I always want to say that can be great. That could be a great tool and asset depending on what your strategy is and what you're offering. But can we first talk about maybe what percentage of your marketing budget should go towards that versus how could you maximize your time to show up in the right rooms and deliver a pitch that's going to get 3 prospects to want to get on a call and actually talk about a price? If that actually serves you better with your time, make sure that you're focusing efforts there and not just throwing 10, 20, 30K a month towards a marketing budget that may only get you a 2% click-through rate.
Yeah, because that's like a big hole. You're spraying and praying, so to speak, on that, right?
Yeah, I think it's the question of where am I going to have the most authentic human connection? That being said, I have clients who are in the B2C space and the B2B services space. Their audiences absolutely are on LinkedIn, for example. So they have taken their message and their brand and have gotten really creative at creating groups, getting really creative at the types of posts that they're doing. They've leveraged video, and that's their way of implementing their brand, or they're getting a lot of conversations that bubble.
Can you walk us through, like when you get a client, can you walk us through some of the process that you do with them? Are there questions that you ask them? Is there a questionnaire that they fill out that they can start? Like when we do books for people, we do a VIP day where we start to peel that onion to get to their target market and the message they want to see. Tell us some of the questions and insider stuff that you do with your clients.
Sure. So I actually, the whole way that I work with people is probably like you guys. It's very collaborative. I don't go like away like behind a Wizard of Oz curtain to write somebody's brand. We're in the room and we're writing it together over a series of 90-minute Zoom calls. Now, the work that we start with are questions in session 1 around like, what's your purpose? Why did you build this company? What do you hope to achieve in the marketplace? What problem do you think you're really solving? Who are your ideal audiences? But then I get into some interesting stuff too that's really fun. And this may appeal to you guys being writers and publishers, as I start to ask questions like, if your brand were a person, who would it be? And I want them to give me a public figure or celebrity. I've written Oprah brands, Ryan Reynolds brands, Kevin Hart brands. We know how these people sound in our mind. And what we're looking for is the tone of voice and the rhythm that then helps them write in the right way. Because the tendency when you write brand or write a book is you're going to write these very long, verbose, corporate-y sentences. How do you tighten that and get that to feel like it's you? So we dig into that, then their audiences, and then we write every piece of the brand together.
I like that. I like that you put it to a face, right? Because then you can see the face, hear the sound of the voice, and like you said, the rhythm of the brand. I really like that. So you can really hone in on on what your messaging really is.
And then how
Absolutely.
do you do the tagline? Like, I mean, to come in, do you do a process? Walk us through the process for the tagline.
So interestingly enough, tagline is the last thing that we solve for. As crazy as it is, I start everybody with their value proposition statement first. And then I move into differentiators. And through the process of really siphoning through the 35 ways you talk about your brand and get to here's the problem we solve and here's how we're different, the tagline's kind of like the oh duh at the end. It really reveals itself. And it's funny, if you've ever tried to write a tagline, it's the most painful process if you start coming from scratch, because you could sit there for weeks. You pages of tagline options. But if you actually allow it to be the end note, it becomes very obvious what that tagline really is to summarize what you do.
You know, it's kind of like what we do. It's like, don't start necessarily with the title of the book, start with the content, and then we'll do the title and the subtitle.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So that's kind of the process that I take. Tagline's really your last thing. And once you get that tied on it like a bow, then you're really able to start to think about how do I translate this to the world across all of my avenues.
And then it's pretty obvious. Like you said, oh, duh. Like that's pretty obvious. That's our tagline.
It is. Yeah.
I love that. That's really great. Well, tell us, where can people go to get more information about you, about your brand, and about what you do, like where they can go to hire you?
Oh, absolutely. So the easiest way is to actually just check out my website, which is www.katedileo.com. And of course, you can also find me on LinkedIn, and I certainly post and publish there. You can also find more details on my website about my book that's coming out if you're curious about how to build a brand that wins work. And of course, check me out at some of my upcoming speaking engagements around the country this fall.
Awesome. That's great. Well, we'll put that in the show notes and have it on the link on YouTube as well. And people can go to katedileo.com to get more information.
Perfect.
All right. That sounds great. Thanks for tuning in today. Remember to subscribe to our podcast. And if you're looking to write your own book, reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. We guarantee all our authors will become #1 bestsellers on Amazon or Wall Street Journal USA Today. So just fill out that submission form and see if we are a good fit for each other. We'll look forward to talking to you next time. Remember, we're here to educate you, inspire you, and motivate you every time. Have a great week.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full-spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.